Hello, Hope Girl. I understand that you found my last video about you a little teeny tiny bit scary because you didn't like it that I used a harsh tone when I called you a lying sack of shit. So today, I thought I would make a gentler, kinder video about you. So today, we're just going to talk about all the other things that you've said about me that I didn't talk about in my last video. Because there were a lot, and I thought maybe we should go over them a little bit. Because I'm sure you want to learn from your past mistakes, right? I know you do. Now, Hopi, I'm going to read to you from the piece that you wrote, which you call What You Need to Know About Karen Irving of Hoaxstead, My Full Testimony. Now, Hopi, do you understand the meaning of the word testimony? Testimony means that you swear that something is true. And I'm afraid that there are a lot of things in this testimony that just aren't true. Now, I know that you have just recently become a born-again Christian, you and your husband. Isn't that nice? I know. What a lovely thing to do, because there's so many more customers in that community, aren't there? Yes, and they can be very, very, very gullible. Now, I have been a Christian for a very long time, because I'm older than you, Hopi. So, let me tell you a few things about what Christians do. Now, one of the things that we all know that we learn very, very young when we go to Sunday school is that when we tell a lie, Jesus cries. He does. He cries sad, sad tears because he loves us and he wants us to do the right thing, and he doesn't want us to lie about each other. No. So when we say that something is testimony and then we tell lies, we're making Jesus cry. I know, it's so sad. But I really think that now that you know that, you're going to stop doing it, aren't you? I know, because you really do mean well. Somewhere in that dark, shriveled up little soul of yours, I'm sure there's a lovely person just waiting to get out. So, Hopi, the very first thing, the first sentence in your testimony, it's going to make Jesus cry so much because it's a little tiny bit of a porky pie, isn't it? In fact, it's a few of them all in one short sentence. Wow, you have a gift for that. That's good. You should always pay attention to the gifts that God gives you. You really should. Okay, so you say, I don't like to talk about this, but in 2014, I was abused by a sexual predator. So let's just take that one bit at a time. Even though it's short, there's a lot packed in there. All right, first of all, you say, I don't like to talk about this. But that's not true, is it, bub? No, it isn't. Because the reason we know that this happened to you is that you published a book about it. Yes, you did. I think that you were trying to get back at someone. I do. That's not a very nice thing to do, Hopi. It's really not. When you try to get back at people, God cries too, in addition to Jesus crying. Did you know that? Oh, it's just a complete tear fest up there. And all the Kleenexes that they use, unfucking believable. Okay. And then you say, but in 2014, I was abused by a sexual predator. Oh, my goodness. You couldn't be referring to that time that you had an affair with a married man, could you? Oh, my goodness, I know. And you didn't even see the signs. You didn't even see it coming. What a terrible, terrible person he must have been to hide his wife from you. But what's this? Oh, Hopi, you knew his wife was there all the time. Oh, no. And you said that he used to go for walks with her every single morning. And he used to hide the fact that he was sneaking up to your bedroom to have torrid sex with you. Oh, my. That's not very nice of him, is it? But it's really not very nice of you either to hide yourself and pretend that you're not having sex with another woman's husband. That's very, very bad. God says, naughty Hope Girl, no biscuit. Yes. I know that you really wanted to keep the details of that affair private. And that's why you went forward and did an autobiographical book, and then you read about it on YouTube, and then you did interviews with people about it, didn't you? I know, 'cause you really wanted to shove it to that guy. Yeah. Even though, really, you were kind of participating with him. I know, Hopi. I know that's painful to hear, and I know you probably don't want to hear it, but it's the truth. It really is. And if you don't tell the truth, you know what happened to Jesus. Yes, indeed. It's all those tears. Okay, Hopi. So now we're going to go back to what you said about me and the residential schools, because that really upset me, as you know. Okay, so the first thing you say is Karen Irving is a trained psychotherapist from Canada. That is amazing. You put 2 actual facts in one sentence. I'm a trained psychotherapist, that's right, and I'm from Canada. Well done, Hopi. Good girl, yeah, excellent. Okay, let's move on. She has a master's degree. Oh my gosh, you said she has a master's degree in social work. That's 3 facts. 3 whole, actual, verifiable facts. Well done, I'm so pleased with you. Yeah. Okay, next one is she began her career as a shrink sent in to counsel. It's counsel, and you spelled it wrong, but that's okay. Abuse victims in the residential Indian schools in Canada. Well, no, you see, there's where you're wrong, Hopi. I never worked in a residential school. I was a student when I counseled a person from a residential school. There's a bit of a difference there. And I was working in a hospital. A hospital is a place where people go when they're not feeling well. And this person was not feeling well in his head and in his heart because he had been very, very badly abused. That's right. And my job was to listen to him talk and to understand the pain that he suffered. And I did understand it, Hopi, because my own family suffered the same kind of pain. And I heard all about it from my client, but I'd also heard all about it from people in my family. Isn't that strange? If you don't know what happened in the residential Indian schools, I strongly suggest you look it up. Isn't that good advice? Maybe you should have looked it up too, and maybe you shouldn't have looked it up on Kevin Annett's pages because he talks out his ass. That's right, he does. He says a lot of really, really silly things, and the native people in Canada can't stand the asshole. Now, why don't the native people in Canada trust him? Well, he abused their trust. He went into a community and he said he was going to dig up the bones around a school and prove that there had been mass murders taking place there. This was on the Mohawk Reserve. And so the Mohawk elders said, okay, you can do that, even though digging up our bones is very disrespectful. We'll let you do it if it will help to bring peace to the families who suffered. And so he went in and he did a little bit of digging, and he did find some bones. But he never proved scientifically whether those bones were human or from some food that they might have eaten at the school, because that back in those days they did feed the children meat. And so he went to a demonstration in Toronto, and he started waving the bones around in the air and going, oh, look, I found proof, I found evidence. But that's not a very respectful way to treat the bones of children if that's what they were. That's a terrible thing to do. The people were very, very, very angry with him, and they told him never to come back. They did not want to see him. That's right. I'm sure you wouldn't want to support someone like that, now would you, Hopi? No, you wouldn't do that, because you're a lovely person, so sweet and so kind. I'm sure you'll fix that as soon as I bring it to your attention. We're learning lots of things today here, aren't we, Lovey? Yes, we are. Good girl. All right. Now, it was horrific abuse of the worst kind. That's very true. However, you say it was the complete genocide of an entire people. Now, I'm sorry to tell you this, Hopi, but that's just not really right. It wasn't the genocide of an entire people, because there are still First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people living in Canada. And guess what? I'm one of them. I'm a Métis person. That's right. I know I don't look like an Indian, do I? No, I don't have dark skin, but then that's true of a lot of Métis people. I think that if you look that up, you might find that that's correct. Okay, so that's another thing we've learned today, isn't it? Well done. Good girl, Hopi. Okay, so Native Indian children in Canada, and Métis and Inuit, don't forget them, underwent torture and murder. Well, they didn't really have torture and murder so much as sexual abuse, beating, and horrible, horrible emotional and physical abuse. And they were taken away from their families. Karen Irving was sent in to try to convince the victims that they had made it all up. Now, where would you get an idea like that? That's not right. I'm sure you know that that's not right, and you just made it up, didn't you? I know, baby. I know when you don't know what the answer is to something, you're tempted to just make it up. But I think that's a very bad habit, and I think maybe you should try to get over it. Because if you don't, someone could come and sue the pants off you. Yeah, they might. You just never know. Yeah, oh, look at that. And you said his name is Kevin Annett with an E at the end? No, not really, dear. But that's okay. Again, your spelling is a little bit strange, isn't it? Just like you. That's okay. We're all different, and you're a special snowflake in your own special way. Okay. I don't know anything about him. That's pretty clear. All I know is that I watched the testimonies of many of the victims in Canada. Just one more little teeny tiny thing about Kevin Annett while we're on the topic. Not a single Native tribal organization in Canada supports him. That's right. They told him to take a long walk off a short pier. They did. And you know why? It's because he's muddying the waters and he's making people think that the residential school system in Canada should be treated just the same as some other weird conspiracy theory. And that's a problem, because the residential schools were very, very real, and the harm that they did was terrible. It really was. I know I got upset about it in my last video, and you thought that that was very, very upsetting, so I'm trying not to do that this time. But I'm just going to tell you that Kevin Annett is full of shit. Yes, he is. Right up to here. Over his head. Yeah, he is. Now, Karen's job there in Canada was to cover up the abuse. Oh, now that's not true, dear. What I did was I talked to a person about the abuse he had suffered, and I helped him work that through. You see, that's what a counselor does. Good counselors anyway, not the silly kind that help you to make up fake memories and pretend that you were abused by Satanists, but I'm sure you don't know anyone who would have that happen to them, now do you? Okay, so that we just won't talk about that. Okay. So, Karen Irving's job there in Canada was to cover up the abuse. Yes, we've done that. And to become the leader in a full-out slander campaign against Kevin Annett. Oh, that's not true either. If I wanted to do a full-out slander campaign about someone, I would do a much, much better job than that. I think I might actually devote an entire blog to him. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll devote an entire blog to you, Hopi. Would you like that? Would that be a very lovely thing for me to do? I could do that for you. Are you sure you don't want me to? Because I could. Be happy to. Be lots of fun. You'd enjoy it. We could do a post a week, and I'm sure you'd really like it. Because there's lots to tell about you, isn't there? You've had such an interesting life. According to Karen, everything in Canada was all a big hoax. Oh, now I don't think that's right, do you? Because you see, some of my ancestors and some of my family members have been abused in the residential schools. Just as I said in my other video, but apparently you found that one just a little teeny tiny bit scary and you had to run away and hide your little head. That's okay. I understand it was scary. Because when people have strong feelings, that can be scary to you, can't it, baby? I know. That's all right. Okay, I have a dog that reacts the same way. Yeah. Back then, she was making money off the torture stories of other people. No, actually I wasn't, because I was a student. Students pay money to go to school. They don't make money from going to school. Didn't you know that? Oh, probably because you didn't go to school. I understand. That's good. Okay, no problem. She is still doing it today. Oh, no, I'm really not, because now I'm retired, so I can devote all of my time to morons like you. Yeah. So, please see my article here for more background and documentation to back this up. In addition, you can find many posts on the Hoaxted blog covering up the abuse. From there, Karen moved on to be a lead in a slander campaign against another horrible victim of abuse. No. You see, I did a whole lot of other things besides being a social worker. I actually worked as a social worker, and then I was a writer, and then I was an editor for quite a long time, and then I worked with journalists. So I've done a lot of things in my life. Legal things. Things that don't rip off other people. Yes, I know it is possible to live like that, Hopi. Really, I'm not kidding. Some people do. Some people don't have to make up stupid stories about silly things that they try to sell to vulnerable people and then try to sell them instructions that will cost them $300 an hour. That's right. Sometimes people do that. Hard to believe, I know, but it's true. Okay, here we go. Karen Irving then used her Hoaxted blog and her many sock puppet accounts. Haven't we read this before? Right, oh yes. No, I actually wasn't involved in the Holly Gregg campaign. Believe it or not, I didn't even know that there was a Holly Gregg campaign while it was going on. I only found out about it when your friend Abraham Christie and his partner Ella Draper started spreading horrible lies about some people, good people, nice people, Hopi, people that you would probably really like if you ever met them. Actually, no, you probably wouldn't. Never mind. They're decent people. Never mind. Leave them alone. Okay. So, where are we? And I made many concerted efforts, blah, blah, blah. No, that's okay. Pedophile ring. No, we're not getting into all of that again, because I think it's possible that people might actually already be familiar with the blog that I write, because that's why they're actually watching your stuff, isn't it? Not that very many people do, but we can fix that, Hopi. Because what I'll do is I'll start a whole blog for you and your family. Won't that be a fun project? I know you're going to love it. Now, in the next part of your silly blog post, you talk a lot about the Hampstead case. And I'm afraid I really can't talk about that right now in public, because you name people who should not be named. They're protected witnesses. That means that the court has decided that in order to protect their children, these people shouldn't be named. And I can't go against the court, now can I? Recently, Karen played the lead role in reporting on a recent rigged case of Sabine McNeil, who is now allegedly serving 9 years in prison. Now, isn't that funny? I thought for sure she really was spending 9 years in prison, although I did hear that she's appealing her sentence, because that's what everyone does when they get a 9-year sentence. It's pretty normal to do that. And I'm sure when you get your sentence, you'll probably want to appeal it too, because appealing sentences is just part of going to prison. Yes, it is. Karen Irving's sister Wendy is married to a business partner of a trustee at the Christchurch Hempstead School. Ooh, that sounds very scary. Oh my goodness, except you know what? Nothing happened at that school, and that's not a big deal. And you know what else? I already wrote about that. And Kat Scott can blow it out her ear. Yeah, she really can. Yes, she can, because she's kind of a dumbass, isn't she? She hears things and doesn't take them in, and then she finds stuff afterwards and goes, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, I found evidence, I found evidence! Because she's stupid as fuck. Yeah, that's true. It's true. Okay, so after this, Karen's many Hoaxstead sock puppet accounts. Now there's a funny thing. I don't have any sock puppet accounts. I have 2 accounts. I have an account called El Coyote, and that's the one I use to post on the Hoaxstead blog. And I have one called Snake Logan, and that's a much, much older one, which I use to post on YouTube and formerly on Google+, even though Google+ doesn't exist anymore, does it, dear? I know. Karen Irving made a sock puppet account with the name and picture of my abuser. Your abuser? You had an abuser? Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, you mean Ray Savage. He wasn't an abuser. He was a cheating husband. And you were the other woman. But that's okay. We won't get into that whole thing again. I'm sure it was very hurtful at the time. The funny thing is that I don't even know the names that you put up about some of these people that you think are my sock accounts. Isn't that funny? Maybe it's just my bad memory. Maybe it's because I'm old and my memory is starting to go. Who knows? But I think it's probably because you just made it up, didn't you, dear? You just assumed those people were. Now you know what they say. When people assume, they make an ass out of you and me. Isn't that right? Now it makes me so sorry to say this, Hopi. But you know what? I think that the reason that so many people have made videos about you not being a very nice person is that maybe you're just not a very nice person. Let's read a little bit more here. I recently got onto Twitter to try to ask Karen directly to stop harassing me. Oh, Hopi, you know that's not what happened. You came on my channel and you made a comment and you said that you would make a deal with me, that if I took down every single article I had ever written about you, you would go away and leave me alone. Now you know what they call that, Hopi? They call that blackmail. I know. That's right. Do you know what blackmail is? Blackmail is saying that you will stop doing bad things to a person if they pay you a price. And the price for you was that I was supposed to take everything down. But I didn't, did I? No, I didn't. I said no, because I thought that you were being a bit of a silly Billy. I did. And then you came on Twitter, and then you started harassing me, and you got a whole bunch of followers. Oh, wait, you only got 3 followers. But that's okay. Everyone else hated you, and that's kind of normal for you, isn't it? You make mention that we have been constantly harassing you. Well, you know what? It's really funny, Hopi. I don't remember writing about you that often. Now, maybe other people have said bad things about you, but again, that's because you're a real lying, scheming bitch. And that's just what happens to lying, scheming bitches. It's unfortunate, but it's true. Well, maybe they just don't understand you. Maybe they just don't get who you really are. Or maybe they do. Hard to say, isn't it? Yes. You can never tell how other people are going to react to you. Some people actually believe all the stuff that you say. Isn't that amazing? Now, Hopi, while I have you here, I think there's a little tiny something that we should probably address together. And that is that you said that someone named Tim died right after having a nasty conversation with you. And you made it sound as though you thought that God had struck him dead for being mean to you. Now, Hopi, I think both you and I know that if God was running around striking people dead every time they acted like a complete bitch face to someone, you'd have been pushing up daisies long ago. You'd be in the underground parking lot, my dear. Yes, you would. I think you and I both know that. So maybe you should stop trying to pretend that God has special plans for you, or that he is killing people on your behalf, because God doesn't do that. God waits till we do dumbass stuff to ourselves, and then he deals with it after. That's right. Lake of fire time, hun. But it's okay. I understand. You have a personality disorder. Yes, you do. But that's all right, because you can get better with supportive psychotherapy. You don't even have to use medication, and I'm quite sure that your orgonite and shungite won't do anything for you. Do you know why I know that? Because they don't do anything for anyone. That's right. Yeah. Okay, back to your collection of lies. I mean your blog. Yeah. Now, this thing about me making fat jokes, I don't make fat jokes, dear. I just don't. 'Cause I understand what it feels like to be fat. I know, I've been there. I was there for about 40 years, and it's a very, very bad place to be. You don't have to tell me what it feels like to be overweight. Now, granted, you might have a few pounds on me in the overweight department, but that's not something to joke about. That's a serious health matter. And you seem to think that I should feel ashamed for having had surgery to help me deal with a health problem. Wow. If I had cancer and I decided to have the cancer removed, would that be a bad thing in your book? Do you think I would have to feel ashamed then? Because sometimes our bodies do things to us and we can't really help it, can we? I'm sure you know all about that. Yeah, I'm sure you do. So maybe the shame that you're talking about is what you feel inside yourself, honey. Maybe it is. Maybe you just feel a teeny tiny little bit of shame about being obese. There's nothing to be ashamed of. There really isn't. Your body is the way that it is. Now, we can do things about that. We can stop eating so many seafood platters, and maybe we can talk to our doctor about other health ways that we can help our bodies, because we only get one body in this lifetime, dear, and we have to look after it. That's important, isn't it? Yes, it is. Oh, I'm so disappointed in you, Hopi. Look, you said Karen Irving was the only person who was reporting on the intimate details of the case on a day-to-day basis. We were supposed to believe that she captured all of these dialogues of what happened in that courtroom with a paper and pencil. It was a pen. Karen Irving, a woman who made a living writing fictional stories. Think about that. So you're trying to pretend that I made it all up? Oh, I don't think so. Now, I do have 3 notebooks that are full of the notes, and I actually showed them to the judge. Did you know that, Hopi? Because one of your little friends tried to report me and said that I must have a recording device. But the thing is, I just take shorthand. That's right. That's one of those skills. Those skills that people learn when they go to school. Sometimes, not always, not everyone takes shorthand. But I did, because I wanted to be, at one time in my life, I wanted to be a journalist. And I thought it would be a good thing to know how to do. And it turned out it was! Yeah! Because I went to the courtroom, and I used my shorthand, and I made notes, and then I was able to report on what happened every day. That's right. Another little mistake, another tiny little mistake. Oh, I'm so sorry for you, Hopi. 'Cause really, you're having a hard time with the truth here, aren't you? Yeah, I understand that's difficult for you. Yes. Well, here's the thing. We see that there was such a case registered on the court documents, but we have no idea what went on in that courtroom. Well, yes, we do, dear, because other people were there. Yeah, even Mary Rooney, she was there every single day. Yes, she was. She's a friend of Belinda's, and she was there every day. And I think that if I had made big mistakes in how I'd reported it, she would have said something, don't you? I think she would have, 'cause she hates my guts. Yeah, she does. So, two other people who were trying to report on the case allegedly got silenced by court gag orders. No, no, no. They didn't get silenced by court gag orders, dear. They got arrested. The judge made them step into the dock, one at a time, one each day, and accused them of doing bad things that they weren't allowed to do in the court. Now, in one case, it was filming people as they came in and out of the court, and then putting up a post that night naming a protected witness. Now, as I said already, you can't name protected witnesses. That's a bad thing to do. You're not supposed to. That's why they're protected. And so then another person got arrested, and guess who it was? Oh, this made me so sad. It was Belinda Mackenzie. Ooh, the big lady behind the whole thing. And she got put in the dock, and then she basically freaked out. Yes, she did. She freaked out and started flapping her arms like this. It was pretty funny, really. Sometimes it was kind of funny to watch. But I try not to gloat about these things, even though she did a very bad thing. And twice, 2 times, she named the protected witness in public. Once on an email and once on Facebook. And so she actually got sentenced to 6 months in prison, except it was suspended. So that meant that she didn't have to go to prison. Isn't that good? She was very, very scared. I don't blame her. I would have been scared too. Gosh, that judge, she was a scary lady. She was very scary, yes, because she put Sabine McNeil in prison for 9 whole years. That's a lot of time. You should tell your friend Abraham about that. Or maybe you shouldn't. It might discourage him from coming back to the UK. No, on second thought, perhaps you should just keep it from him. I think it's probably best that way, don't you? Because we don't want to discourage him from coming back. There'll be a warm welcome waiting for him. Yes, there will. You're a funny, funny lady sometimes, Hopi. Funny, funny, funny. I laughed and laughed about this part. I'm just going to read it, okay, so everyone else can laugh too. Because we all deserve to have a laugh now and again, don't we? Yeah. Okay. You say, the case was held in a UK court, which is just as corrupt as they come. Based on what, dear? Who were the judges? Who were the jury? Okay, that's funny. You see, there's only one judge, and her name was Sally Cahill, and she has a QC that after her name. That means that she's a Queen's Counsel. That means she's an important lawyer who became a judge. Isn't that special? Yes, it is. And she was the person listening to the entire trial. Only one judge, dear. Not 2, not 3, not 18. As for the jury, we're not allowed to know who the jury are, silly Billy. That's the point of a jury. We're not supposed to know anything about them. That's right. And they're not supposed to know anything about the case when they come in. And none of them did, because they all looked pretty darn confused when they first started hearing about it. They did. It was almost as though they couldn't believe what they were hearing because it was so bizarre. I know, it really is a pretty strange story, and I understood how they felt. But I don't know any of them, and no one else should know any of them, because that's how the court system works, dear. You see, that's how it works. You get 12 people who are considered your peers. In other words, they're people just like you or me. Some people hold jobs, some people don't. Some are young, some are old, some are men, some are women. But they're all just people like you and me, and they have to decide who's guilty and who is innocent. And they were the ones who decided whether Sabine was guilty of all of the charges that she was charged with. Yeah, that's right. The judge didn't decide that. All the judge did was accept their decision. That's right. And then she decided on what the sentence would be. That's how it works in court. But that's okay. I think you'll get to know court a lot better in a little while. Won't take long. You'll be really good at it after a while, I'm sure. I'm 100% sure, because you're a quick learner, aren't you? Yes, you are. Oh, and here you are picking on Sabine. That's not very nice. She has to spend the next 9 years in prison. She has enough to deal with without you calling her a Satanist. 'Cause here's what you say. This was very surprising to me, Hopi. I thought better of you. She said, Sabine doesn't add up. Who the heck is she? Why did she get herself involved? Really because she was in a yoga class with the mother? Is that all you got? How about Sabine's background? She worked at CERN. She's got Nazi ties, and some accuse her of being a Satanist. Now, can you prove any of that, Hope Girl? I don't think you can. I really don't think you can. Can you show me some of those Nazi ties? 'Cause I've never heard that about her. Okay, how do we know that she wasn't planted in this storyline on purpose? That's a really good question. And how do you know that she was? Is she really in jail now? Oh, I think you'll find she is. I think if you go to jail, you'll find out that she's there. Yeah, she's there. Or did she get a special reward for being the staged scapegoat? Pretty sure that didn't happen. I think you're maybe having a little bit too much to drink at night, Hopi. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking maybe you and Tivon need to cut back on the nighttime cocktails. Yeah, 'cause that really doesn't sound very rational to me. Now, let's see proof that she's in jail. Well, you could write to her through the prison system. That would prove it, wouldn't it? Yeah. Or maybe you could ask one of your friends to go to the prison for you and check it out. Why don't you ask Abe? That's a good idea. You can send Abe over. He'll do it for you, I'm sure, no problem. Yeah, 'cause he's such a nice guy. Warm, caring. Yeah, not at all crazy. Oh, no. Not at all crazy. He's not mental in the head. Bit violent. Abuses children. Abuses women, too, I understand. But I think he's okay, basically. Deep down, aren't we all really okay? Really, when it comes down to it? I think we are. Okay. The last I heard, Sabine was refusing to speak to anyone, or at least that's what we're told. Well, no, in fact, the last I heard, she was saying she was kind of lonely and wanted people to write her letters. Yeah, I know, maybe you could write her a letter, just a friendly letter, Hopi, saying, gosh, I hope you're not a Satanist or a Nazi. I'm sure she'd appreciate that. And Belinda Mackenzie, she has a proven background as MI5. Really? Aw, funny girl, I don't think so. I really don't think she does. I think people say that about her because she's never gone to prison, but I think that's, you know why? I think that's because she is afraid of prison. And she does everything she can to make sure that other people go to prison and not her. That's just how she is. So, she's responsible for so much devastation. Well, I have to agree with you there, Hopi. I think that's probably true. Furthermore, she's the one that got my abuser involved with the Hampstead case. No, I think you'll find that that was Sabine, because Sabine actually wrote that in an email to someone saying that she had a police officer from Sussex who was going to be involved in the case. Yeah, I know. Apparently these operatives worked together. No, really? No, I'm sure that's not true. You don't think Sabine and Belinda worked together, do you? Oh, wait, they do. Right. Ha 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 ha. My mistake. Perhaps the most diabolical thing of all when it comes to Karen Irving's reporting on the Sabine trial is this. Step by step, everything she outlined as Sabine's crimes in the case were the exact same things that Karen Irving was doing to me for the last 3 years. Really? Oh, I don't think that's right, dear. I think that you'll find that I wrote a rather limited number of posts about how you're a scammer. But that's true, though, isn't it? Really. Because what you do is really kind of fraudulent. I know you don't like to admit it, and it's a hard thing to say, but sometimes one of the things that we have to do as grown-up people is we have to look at ourselves and say, gosh, maybe I made a mistake. Maybe I did a bad thing. Oh, I know. It's hard to think of yourself that way, isn't it? Yeah, but that's okay, 'cause we're all friends here. So I think that's enough reading from your blog for one day. I think maybe we'll do this again another day, though. Hasn't it been fun? I think it's been really fun. Yeah, I do. I do indeed. Okay, Hopi. One last little tiny thing before we go. That is, I just want to share with you that I think that if you were not being a scammer online, you wouldn't have to spend so much time defending yourself. That's right. I think that you know that you're selling stuff to people and it's never going to work. That's right, and you are making money from people selling them deficient and useless garbage. That's right, you are. And I think that if you were to stop doing that, you would have to spend a lot less time worrying about what I or anyone else had to say about you. That's right, I think you would. And I don't think you're actually going to listen to this. Actually, 100% sure you're not going to listen to this. But I do wish you the best, and I hope that everything works out well for you in the end, if you know what I mean. Take care. Bye now.